that's a very good question. I think that the problem is the climate crisis is affects everything, right? And people don't want to think that their actions, what they're doing, can have this kind of a profound impact on the world we live in. People, deniers often cite, "Oh, it's just a small percentage of CO2 in the atmosphere. How could that possibly have such an impact? This is some kind of conspiracy with, Bill Gates or whoever else is, and we're all profiting off this, and this is some kind of scam that everybody is running." And, it connects with the anti-vax stuff and a lot of other things in this sort of partisan, warfare right now. But what we're seeing now in real time is this is playing out, and it's playing out faster than even the most kind of supposedly alarmist climate scientists were talking about a decade ago.
But we begin tonight with a crisis that is impossible to ignore. Now, I often start this show with the most recent assault on American democracy at the hands of the modern Republican Party or the Supreme Court. Well, tonight, I want to talk to you about a different type of existential threat. We all know it's hot. Some of you in Arizona spent the day trying to avoid 115-day heat. And next week, it might hit 120. Earlier this week, I shared some really terrifying news. Some scientists believe that July 4th of this year may have been one of the hottest days on Earth in 125,000 years. Guess what? We keep breaking those records. The Earth's average temperature set a new unofficial record on Thursday, the third such milestone in a week that already was rated as the hottest on record. The Earth's planetary average surpassed the 62.9 degree mark. Now, mind you, half the globe is in their winter season right now. And until Monday, no day had passed the 62.6 degree average in the 44 years since such records have been kept. These mind-blowing facts, because climate change isn't an opinion, are largely due to a dangerous combination of surging temperatures and the return of El Nino. But that is not all. The oceans are warmer, and sea ice levels in Antarctica are dropping to an unparalleled level. Here are some recent examples of what's happening. Beijing's temperature hit 104 degrees, putting the city on track for one of its most severe heat waves on record. Last week, a scorching heat wave in two of India's most populous states overwhelmed hospitals and filled a morgue to capacity. In Spain, temperatures have exceeded 110 degrees. 100 people died in Mexico because of their heat wave. And here in the United States, more than 20 million Americans were under heat alerts. In the Midwest, a place many assume is a climate haven because of its location and water resources, they are suffering through a near-record drought, crisping fields across the Corn Belt. In Texas, temperatures have reached 120 degrees and caused at least a dozen deaths, including a postal worker and a utility worker. They died days before Governor Greg Abbott signed a sweeping new law eliminating mandated water breaks for certain laborers, including construction workers. The law doesn't go into effect until September 1st, but for those having to work outside, Abbott's law is grotesque. Here's what one welder told NPR.
You can't just tell a construction worker that's working in 100-degree heat, the heat index being 112, 15, that they can't stop and take water. That's cruel and unusual punishment, I believe.
You're true.
My store, my design business works poorly, but my old internet.
True. Really? No water breaks? The governor. Fucking. God, these fucking. They're getting more and more crazy. Like serious nut jobs.
Down to the United States. The director of Europe's Climate Change Service told the Washington Post, "We have never seen anything like this before. We are in uncharted territory." But as Vox points out, none of this is surprising. It is what scientists have been warning us about for decades, and they say that it will only get worse. One of those experts is Chris Gloninger, who was the chief meteorologist for the CBS affiliate in Des Moines, Iowa. Gloninger has spent nearly 2 decades warning his viewers that the extreme weather incidents that we were experiencing were linked to the climate crisis.
If you look at the summer that we've seen so far as our planet continues to warm, the third warmest, just released today, the third warmest summer on record, and that is a data set of 128 years. And here's why it is important to be stewards of the Earth. We have now reached our 529th consecutive month with temperatures globally above that 20th century average. We have some low 90s too in the mix, and also poor air quality because of those fires. Again, as the planet warms, a lot of these fires are gaining steam and seeing explosive growth because of the warming planet.
He recently told NPR News that it remains the existential crisis of our lifetime. But not everybody wants to hear that. Yesterday, he ended his career as a TV meteorologist, citing in part a string of death threats from one person and the resulting PTSD. The viewer sent him a series of hostile emails telling him to stop spreading a, quote, liberal conspiracy theory, which is nothing but a, quote, Biden hoax. Gloninger will now focus entirely on finding ways to help communities to deal with the climate crisis. And joining me now is Chris Gloninger. After leaving television, he joined the Woods Hole Group as senior scientist. Also joining me is Jeff Goodell, contributing writer for Rolling
Good
Stone
morning,
and
Miss
author of the new
Sweet.
book, The Heat Will Kill
how
You
sweet
First,
of you to
Life
join
and
me.
Death on a Scorched
Cup of
Planet.
Joe,
A very
Papa.
apropos title for today. Mr. Gloninger, I do want to start with you because it seems pretty frightening that our favorite person usually in local news, I used to work in local news, and everybody's favorite person was always the weatherman. The meteorologist was always like the most popular person. Maybe the sports guys were like a close second. I want you to just walk us through what was happening. I mean, you're telling the truth. It's your job. It's your expertise, and you're getting death threats. Please explain.
Joy, thanks for having me. You know, I started this journey back in Boston at NBC, where I started the country's first weekly series on climate change, and it kind of gained some steam. I got picked up by a couple of news directors who wanted to have me bring that message out to the Midwest, where we are at the mercy of Mother Nature, right? 11% of the GDP in Iowa is agriculture. We produce 64% wind power. That is what powers our grid, true renewable energy. But yet, the second I started mentioning it, the pushback started to stream in. Very different from Boston, but at that point, I was preaching to the choir. Here it was kind of going into the lion's den. And, you know, it escalated to a point where I received a death threat, and the gentleman pled guilty and received a whopping $150 fine. But after 2016, that was the tipping point where people felt like that they were entitled to just unleash hate. And that is exactly what we saw as journalists and as scientists.
And had you had pushback before? Because, I mean, I grew up out west, and there are certain parts of the country where there is this sort of weird duality where people, they care about nature, right? Because they care about being able to hunt. They want nature to remain pristine for the things they like to do outside. But there also is this resistance to the idea that what used to be called global warming, which I think was maybe not a term that worked so well, but climate change, the climate crisis is real. Is that, did you get pushback before from people who just were like, I don't like you talking about climate crisis?
Sure. I mean, you get the typical responses. The climate's always been changing, and you kind of have to laugh at those responses. But even in Boston, I did this documentary for NBC Boston, where I looked at environmental justice communities and the impact that the climate crisis was having on Black and brown communities. And I received pushback even in Boston, right? And that was almost like taking two hot topics, fusing them together. And I expected it. I welcomed it, right? But here, it was much more dialed down, and we were talking about data. All I was doing was providing those trends, and he used that clip in just before introducing me, where we were talking about how many more 90-degree days we're seeing, how much wind power we're generating, how many homes can that power. This was exciting stuff and not really overly controversial. And you know, what started as just kind of like an ebbing and flowing of the criticism, again, reached that peak last June. And it ended up in a year of therapy trying to work through some of these emotions. We work wild hours from 3 to 11. My wife is home alone. Those thoughts weigh in the back of your mind. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I totally get it. Jeff Goodell, thank you for being here. Your book is titled "The Heat Will Kill You First." The heat is killing people. There are people who are literally dying while their governor is saying you have to work outside without a water break. But let me just show a little data. And so this is surface air temperatures, and it's scary when you just look at it as a graph, where you see it just spike and spike and spike up from 1979 to 2000. There's another graph here that talks about a side-by-side of the coverage of sea ice in the northern hemisphere, and you could just sort of visually see it change over time. This is data, it's science. Why do you think there is such an emotional resistance to believing that the climate crisis is real?
That's a very good question. I think that, the problem is the climate crisis affects everything, right? And people don't want to think that, their actions, what they're doing, can have this kind of a profound impact on the world we live in. People, deniers often cite, it's just a small percentage of CO2 in the atmosphere. How could that possibly have such an impact? This is some kind of conspiracy with, Bill Gates or whoever else is, and we're all profiting off this, and this is some kind of, scam that everybody is running. And, it connects with the anti-vax stuff and a lot of other things in this sort of partisan, warfare right now. But, what we're seeing now in real time is this is playing out, and it's playing out faster than even the most kind of supposedly alarmist climate scientists were talking about a decade ago.
Thanks for stopping by to the Cup of Joe pop-up. I am just
It's making you get an ice bath again.
this is just what I do. And I have my cup of Joe, and it's nice that you stop through. I need watch time hours, so I'm trying to play catch up right now.
Hearings, we got a glimpse into a White House meeting that took place 6 weeks after Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. A meeting former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson called unhinged.
Well, first of all, an overstock person, I've never entered who this guy was. Actually, the first thing I did, I walked in, I looked at him, and I said, "Who are you?"
Cipollone and Hirschman and whoever the other guy was showed nothing but contempt and disdain of the president.
What they were proposing, I thought was nuts.
To have the federal government seize voting machines, it's a terrible idea.
Okay, I will
Some
watch
comment about, like,
some of
Nest
your
thermostats
old
being hooked up to the
videos
internet.
later.
Flynn
to
screamed at me
give
that
you
I was
watch
Twitter.
outs. Thank you, Miss Nita.
Screaming at me.
I'm going to categorically describe
I have a
it as,
daughter named Anita.
you guys are not
Thank
tough
you
enough.
so much.
Or maybe I put it another way, you're a bunch
I get you some
The motley crew of
breasts
Trump's
too,
outside
baby.
sycophants, Trump lawyer and the Kraken lady, Sidney Powell, disgraced former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who previously pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about contacts with the Kremlin, and Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne, basically the couch's version of the pillow guy, also floated proposals like naming Powell special counsel to investigate non-existent voter fraud. According to CNN, special counsel Jack Smith is now questioning witnesses about that 6-hour meeting, which took place on the night of December 18th, 2020, 4 days after the legitimate electors had met and finalized the election results in each of their states. The White House meeting ended after midnight, after which the soon-to-be ex-president fired off his infamous big protest in D.C. on January 6th. Be there, will be wild tweet in the wee hours of the morning on December 19th. Joining me now is MSNBC legal analyst Andrew Weissman, former FBI general counsel and former senior member of the Mueller probe. And I have thought, great to see you as always, Andrew, that tweet always to me was the most important moment before January 6th itself, right? Because this is when Donald Trump makes January 6th the thing. Most Americans didn't know what January 6th was. Only us super geeks knew that it was the important day in every, election, presidential election year. He made it a thing, called people to the Capitol. So for you, when you look at that meeting and all the people that were there, what does the Jack Smith's interest in that meeting, there's the tweet, say to you?
So it is a very important meeting, and the tweet is very important. But as Zoe Lofgren said earlier in commenting about this, it is important to keep this in context because there's so much more to what Donald Trump was doing, because he had engaged in pressuring the Department of Justice. He engaged in pressuring state electors. He had tried all sorts of ways. So he was coming down to the last possible ways of overturning the election and the will of the people. So it's obviously very important that context around it should not be forgotten. Obviously, what happened at the meeting, as you alluded to, is just it's completely antithetical to a democracy. You have people talking about taking over the Department of Justice with the likes of Sidney Powell, of all people. You have the idea that the military, with no facts whatsoever, would seize voting machines and redo the election. Again, completely antithetical to a democratic process. And the tweet really fits in with that theme, which is that one of the things that the president was trying to do is say, okay, here's another way to pressure Congress if none of this works. So to me, this suggests that it's both looking at Donald Trump and his activity at that meeting, but also the other people who are there who are definitely not, off the radar screen.
Well, right, and let's put them back up again, because you have in that room, you have Donald Trump, obviously Sidney Powell, Michael Flynn, Rudy Giuliani. We talked about them. We have the Overstock CEO, which God only knows why he was there, and some of them wondered the same thing. Emily Newman, who's a Trump administration official, Pat Cipollone, who's the White House counsel, who also talked to the January 6th committee. You have Trump advisor Eric Hirschhorn, is the one who said that's nuts, all this is bananas. Derek Lyons, who's the staff secretary, Mark Meadows, who keeps coming up, and Matt Morgan, who is a Trump campaign lawyer, and Robert O'Brien, national security advisor. Afterwards, Cassidy Hutchinson snaps a photo of literally Mark Meadows walking Giuliani out to make sure he leaves. Okay, so all that happens. Trump then tweets sometime after that, it's going to be wild. I note that because the two key dates, Andrew, had passed. December 8th, which is when they have the formal sort of finalization of the electoral count process. And then this December 14th date, which is when the electors have set it up in all of their states. The real electors have done what they're going to do. And yet Trump comes out this 6-hour meeting saying something's going to happen on January 6th. It seems like that's the key, right? Because the question is, well, what did he say is going to happen? What did he conclude from that meeting was going to happen? Because you've got a lot of January 6th defendants saying Trump is who brought me here. Trump is who made me do this violence. What do you think?
Absolutely, and I would, absolutely. I would add to that list. That's excellent, Joy. I would add to that list that they'd gone to court and lost everything. So the challenge is, the reason those dates are so critical is that they actually had their opportunity to be heard, and they lost all of those cases. And Pat Cipollone, to the January 6th committee, said something that I thought was right on point. He said, you know what, there's a certain place in time where it's put up or shut up. And it's like, you have evidence, this is the time to tell us. And to this day, there is no evidence. I mean, we just have to look at the recommendation at the DC bar today that Rudy Giuliani should be disbarred because he had no evidence to support the claim that he made in federal court that the election should be overturned. And to me, it's all of a piece. There is no factual evidence. So that is really the key to the reason why I think there will be a criminal case by Jack Smith is because there's, to this date, no factual support for any of the steps that they were taking. And it could be more serious.
And the thing is that I can't get out of my mind is that they meet for 6 hours with this sort of Looney Tune crew, but somehow Donald Trump, and not just him, Steve Bannon on January 5th says basically, watch your butts, something's going to happen tomorrow. They came out of that meeting with something of a plan. We don't know what it was, but it's hard for me to believe that they didn't come away, or at least Donald Trump didn't come away believing that after all those legal failures, after they had exhausted the true electoral college process, what is it he think they could do? It was all over. And yet he believed if he marched to the Capitol, something was going to happen. I feel like it's so incriminating. I'd be shocked if he wasn't indicted. And how shocked would you be if he's not?
I just don't think, I don't even go
Hey,
there because
Miss
I just think it's
Dawn.
going to happen. And to your answer,
Yeah.
your question,
Hi,
what do I
happy
think the
Sunday
strategy
to
was?
you.
I think the strategy was and still
Just
is
having a
might
cup of
makes right.
Joe and
This
looking
was just a
at the
simple
news as I
question
usually
of
do.
I don't care about the facts. I don't care about the law. This is
I'm
a
wishing
question
you a
of
gracious
whoever
day as
can just
well.
has
Thank you.
power and can keep
Thanks
it,
for stopping
regardless
by.
of principles, regardless of the fact that we have a long history
No,
of a
I'm trying
peaceful
to
transition of
catch
power
up with some
in
watch
this country.
time hours.
So I just think that is what was going on, was just what is the next step, which is why they were talking about ordering the military to
Yes.
redo a vote.
It would be like storming the Oscar stage when the only purpose of the people on the stage is to read what's in the envelope. Literally, the vice president at that point is the guy on the Oscar stage reading the envelope. Everything is over. And so for them to think that somehow they could make him do something that he didn't have any power to do, I'm with you. It tells me that they thought something violent was going to happen. My opinion alone, but Andrew Weissman, it's always great to have you on. Your opinion matters much more than mine because you're an actual expert. Thank you very much.
Take you all to. We gotta go back to I want to go here. This lady was part of the January 6th incident, and she ended up pleading guilty. And these are the results of it, y'all.
Arrested with weapons in President Obama's neighborhood, but now another January 6th defendant, a grandmother and former Trump supporter who went to prison for her actions on January 6th, who's now speaking out against the former president for what she calls his gaslighting. Gary Tuchman has more.
As she celebrates America's independence at a fireworks show here in Boise, Idaho, 70-year-old Pam Hemphill can't help but remember how she felt on July 4th of last year, because she was getting ready to go to prison.
Even though you were unhappy and scared in prison, you feel you were guilty of what the crime was.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
The January 6th Capitol insurrection. Mother and grandmother Pam Hemphill, who had recently been diagnosed with breast cancer, was there. She had long enjoyed taking video of political events and told police at the Capitol she was a citizen journalist. But she also believed former President Donald Trump's false claims that he won the election. And this is what she was telling people outside the Capitol as she shot her video.
Whose house does it belong to? It's my house. Come on in. You just come in. Come on in.
She continued shooting video.
We are the people.
And Pam Hemphill ended up inside the Capitol building. She flew back to Idaho, still believing much of the dogma she had been taught that led to her coming to the Capitol.
The Democrats wanted this to be a communist country and that they were drinking baby's blood.
Did you believe that?
No, I thought that was kind of weird.
Okay. But did you believe that the Democrats wanted us to be a communist country?
Yes.
It wasn't until months later that Hemphill was arrested on multiple charges. After a plea bargain and pleading guilty to illegal entry to the Capitol, she was sentenced to 2 months in a federal prison in California.
I live with the fear every minute. You just live with it.
When she got out of prison this past September, she did have questions about the far-right talking points about Trump, but still considered herself a Trump supporter. However, a few months ago, she had a revelation.
So when you heard the former president say that he would consider pardoning some J6ers, it changed your mind.
Absolutely, 100%.
And what did you then think of Donald Trump?
That's it. He's just a master manipulator. He doesn't believe anything. He just thinks he's smart enough to pull the wool over you. But there's people like me waking up.
And do you feel the former president's responsible for that?
Absolutely. He's the king of that gaslighting. It's a cult. It's a cult.
And then this happened just about a week and a half ago.
A right-wing person wrote something that's inaccurate, but it's important to this story. I'm going to read it. American justice, 69-year-old grandma with cancer given more prison time for walking inside U.S. Capitol than Hunter Biden for sharing classified documents of foreign regimes and multi-million-dollar bribery schemes. And then Donald Trump shared it on his Truth Social with the comment, horrible. When you saw that or heard about it, what was the first thing that went through your mind?
I got up, I was very angry, and I said, this is it. This is it.
In fact, Hunter Biden recently agreed to plead guilty to 2 tax misdemeanors to resolve a felony gun charge in exchange for a recommendation of probation. What Pam Hemphill decided to do was call out the former president on social media, writing, "Please, Donald Trump, don't be using me for anything. I'm not a victim of January 6th. I pleaded guilty because I was guilty. Stop the spin." And now Pam Hemphill wants to go back to the U.S. Capitol, but this time to testify under oath about January 6th. And she's already prepared what she wants to say if she's invited.
I am not a victim of the government. The Justice Department was not weaponized against me. I was a participant. We broke the law.
And she talks about the Capitol Police in her speech.
In the crowd, I was pushed down. My head was trampled on. My shoulder pulled out. The Capitol Police saved my life that day. I want them to know how truly grateful I am to them and how deeply sorry I am for what happened and how they continue to be treated to this day.
Today, Pam Hemphill takes solace in her supportive friends on social media, her family, and God.
What would you say to Donald Trump if you could talk to him face to face, like you're talking to me right now?
Retire, get honest. Because you know, when you meet your maker, you know, that's more important.
Gary joins us now. What a journey she's been on. What is next for her?
So her sentence includes 3 years probation. So some of the conditions are she can't commit a crime, she can't own a gun, she can't leave the state without permission. Politically, she says she wants to remain a registered Republican, but if Donald Trump runs against Joe Biden next year in the general election, there's no way she says she'd vote for Trump, she'd vote for Joe Biden. If it's a different Republican, she'll do her research and make a decision closer to the election. One final thing, Anderson, Pam Hemphill is still fighting breast cancer. And she says right now her life's goal is to, quote, make things right. Anderson.
Well, we wish her the best with her health and her family. Gary Tuchman, thanks so much.
Okay, we're gonna go here. I love this guy. He's part of Midas Touch. And I love Midas Touch because they bring you only real news. These people are part of this network. They actually, man, they're cool. And there's a network. It's really a network, and they bring real news. So I would advise you all go and actually, subscribe to them, hit them up, support them if you can, with donations or whatever. I don't know how to go. But they have some real good things, and I keep these upticks, news things, because it's very important for the people to know. This is why we need to actually get out there and start stomping the ground and registering our family members, because the Republicans are doing a very lot of strange things. They're trying to take away our freedoms. They're targeting marginalized people, transgender, and things like that. Black folks, people of color in general, and they're doing it at the state level. This is why it is very important each state to get these fools out, because they're taking us back in time. And I know I ain't trying to be picking no cotton for no motherfucker. I am free. I was born free, and I want to keep that. I want to keep my freedom. This is why I don't commit crimes, because I like to be able to do what the fuck I want to do. If I'm in my home, I want to be able to go to sleep when I want to go to sleep. Sometimes I don't sleep, and I don't want to be penalized in my own home. This is just theoretical, what I'm saying, because of the legislation that's going on. First of all, Republicans do not govern. They sow grievances. They out to get you, and they use scare tactics to people who do not know the laws, do not know don't know the Constitution, their constitutional rights, and these motherfuckers keep getting in office because ain't nobody really paying attention to what they're really doing, and they know this. And so this is why I let you see things like this and hear things like this. This
Now, I know
is
this one's gonna
my
rub a lot
cup
of
of
people the wrong
Joe
way.
Papa.
But I really don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. Not electing Hillary Clinton in 2016 will go down as one of the biggest mistakes in our nation's history. I don't give a shit what you think of Hillary Clinton. I don't care if you love her or hate her. I don't care if you love the Democratic Party or you hate the Democratic Party. The Supreme Court justices that was nominated under Donald Trump would not have been nominated under Hillary Clinton. And the bullshit that we see coming out of the Supreme Court today would not be happening had she took office in 2016. I don't give a rat's ass about Donald Trump's policy. I don't give a rat's ass about his mean tweets. His presidency set us back 100 years. And there's a whole lot of people out there celebrating. Oh, look, we got it. We won something. You didn't win shit. All you did was trample on fellow Americans' rights, stuff that would have never affected you or bothered you in the least. That's why I call bullshit on this whole idea that you want smaller government and don't tread on me. That's why I always call that bullshit flag out for the bullshit flag that it is. You don't give a rat's ass if the flag is trampling all over other people. If you disagree with their lifestyle or you disagree with where they come from, you're perfectly okay with your government just walking all over top of those people. You'll sit back there on 4th of July weekend and you'll brag about being free. Meanwhile, there's a shit ton of Americans that don't feel quite as free today. And if they're not free, they ain't none of us free. What is it y'all love to say to us? Well, if they could do it to Trump, they could do it to you. That works both ways, Scooter. If they can do this to your fellow Americans, they can do it to you. But actually, they don't have to do it to you because they've already got you. They've already duped you into voting for them. They've already duped you into chasing that carrot by dangling all these stupid-ass culture wars up under your nose. And you'll sit there and fall into hell and back while your pensions drift away, while everything you ever invested drifts away, while your whole future crumbles. You'll be sitting over here going, yeah, go woke, go broke. Or whatever fucking cliche they taught you to say yesterday. It's bullshit. And I'll sit here and call it out to the end of time. Now, a whole lot of people told us back in 2016 when Trump was elected, hey, just relax. Maybe it won't be as bad as you think it's going to be. But we all knew exactly how bad it was going to be because we saw through Donald Trump back then. And so did Hillary Clinton. Take a look at this clip and watch how spot on she is describing Donald Trump and how things are going to pan out.
You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. The FBI conducted a year-long investigation into my emails. They concluded there was no case. He said the FBI was rigged. He lost the Iowa caucus. He lost the Wisconsin primary. He said the Republican primary was rigged against him. Then Trump University gets sued for fraud and racketeering. He claims the court system and the federal judge is rigged against him. There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged against him.
Should have gotten it.
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks. And it's funny, but it's also really troubling.
Okay.
You know, that is not the way our democracy works. We've been around for 240 years. We've had free and fair elections. We've accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them. And that is what must be expected of anyone standing on a debate stage during a general election.
So if there ever was a championship in the I told you so department, Hillary Clinton would be the undisputed champion because she called it spot on exactly how it would happen. A whole lot of people back then said, oh, just give Donald Trump a chance. Maybe it might not be so bad. But we all saw through Donald Trump a long time ago, just like Hillary Clinton did. We saw the type of campaign that he ran. We came from an era where when Howard Dean simply screamed at a rally, people said he was unfit and unstable to be president. We came from an era where George H.W. Bush just simply looked at his watch a couple of times during the Clinton debates and pretty much lost that election to Bill Clinton. We came from an era where Dan Quayle was mocked relentlessly for not being able to spell potato. And then we saw Donald Trump come along and get away with mocking prisoners of war. We heard what he said about John McCain. Did we agree with John McCain's politics? No. But we respected John McCain's service to our country. We respected the fact that he was captured and he was tortured. And Donald Trump sits back and says, oh, well, I like prisoners that didn't get caught. And I thought, oh, this will do it. Oh, these patriotic Republicans, they'll all come down on his head now. Nope. They all jumped on board and insulted McCain further. And I'm going, wait a minute, I thought we had respect for veterans. What are y'all doing? We saw Donald Trump brag about grabbing women by the pussy. And I thought, oh, the evangelicals, they'll hang him for this one. They'll never let him get by with that. He'll never be able to disrespect women that way, and the evangelicals go for it. Nope, they stay quiet. Why? Because Donald Trump was willing to push their agenda. And because Donald Trump had empowered all this hatred that they had built up in them for years. We were all naive. We all thought that racism was getting better. At least I did. I thought, well, we're making progress. Things are getting better. We've elected the first black president. So things have to be getting better. We have to be turning some kind of corner. No, we weren't. Because over here was all these people sitting here with all those feelings bubbling, and Donald Trump came along, and he empowered that, and he gave them permission to say the quiet parts out loud. And we saw his presidency unfold. We saw what a disaster it was. We saw the disaster that was January 6th. And we're still sitting here saying, this man's a narcissist. This man can't accept defeat. This man, won't accept the results of an election. We're still going on about it. And had we just elected Hillary Clinton, we would have never been in any of this mess. It would have just been something we could look back at as kind of a comical, funny idea. Like, remember that time Donald Trump actually thought he had a shot in hell of being president? That's what we should be saying today. It should be like one of those candidacies where you just say, well, remember when that guy thought it might be a good idea and he flopped and burned really quick? That's what should have happened. But instead, a lot of people didn't go to the polls in 2016. There was a whole lot of people that got mad over things and was like, I ain't voting. There was a whole lot of people voted third party. Look, I was a Bernie bro. I was upset that Bernie didn't get the nomination. But I saw what was at hand. And I remember Hillary saying this too. I remember her saying a Republican president can stack the Supreme Court. And that's where everything happens, folks. That's why when all these things are happening today and we're upset about it, that's why. Hillary tried to warn us. You don't have to like her politics. You don't have to like the Democrats' politics. But if you care about your fellow Americans and their rights, you're watching them be stripped away on a daily basis. And like I said earlier, if it can happen to them, it can happen to you too. But at the end of the day, they've got you. They've got you playing into their culture wars, and you don't see what's important. It's one of these things where you guys you're looking at it like, oh, we got a victory over them. We won. What did you win? You didn't win jack shit. All you got to say was, hey, you don't have any rights anymore. Ha ha. And that's not what the American flag is supposed to be about. That's not what freedom is supposed to be about. Freedom is supposed to be everyone having an equal shot at happiness, an equal shot at opportunities. That's what should be going on. Instead, we're watching the rights be stripped away, and it's hard telling what's coming next. It's hard telling what they'll go after next. And meanwhile, people will be pumping their fist. And it's pretty damn sickening if you ask me. So folks, be sure to hit that subscribe button here on Midas Touch and share these videos with your friends because we are the fastest growing news network in the country, and there's a reason for it. People come to Midas Touch because we tell it like it is, and because we don't believe in the both sides argument when it comes to race. We don't believe in the both sides argument when it comes to homophobia. We don't believe in the both sides argument when we see rights being stripped away from fellow Americans. Just like Hillary Clinton back in 2016, pointing it out, calling it out, and being spot on. That's what we try to do here. And maybe one day we can say here at Midas Touch that we were the undisputed champions of I Told You So.
Hey, Midas Mighty. Love this report.
That's right. So, y'all, I'm going to take you here. I want you all to see this one because this motherfucker, this orange bitch continues with his madness. And he's so fucking angry that he's being held accountable for all of his crimes. So this weirdo, this fucking crazy fuck, and believe me, I know crazy. My mother was mentally ill and I live with that shit. I myself have a mental illness that I deal with on a daily basis. and I refuse to let it kill me. And so here we go. Let's take a look at this.
Our pets. We love them like
I'm just gonna turn the thing off until I can skip these videos because I don't want my shit to
Squad
be.
and Metropolitan Police canine officers were deployed to the vehicle, to his van, as it entered Obama's neighborhood. One of the canines alerted on the van for the presence of gunpowder. A search of the vehicle revealed hundreds of rounds of 9mm ammunition and 2 firearms inside. Right? Eventually, Taranto, this is before he was apprehended. He exited the van and began walking through Obama's neighborhood as he continued to live stream. While walking, he made several concerning statements regarding the residences in the area, saying that he was looking for quote-unquote entrance points, that he had quote-unquote control of the block and had them surrounded, and that he was going to find a way to the tunnels underneath their houses, meaning Obama. He also repeatedly stated that he was trying to get a shot and that he wanted to get a good angle on a shot. The neighborhood where Taranto was located is a restricted area monitored by the United States Secret Service. What I just read is all in the Department of Justice's filings to keep this madman under lock and key through the time of his sentencing. Yes, you're presumed innocent until you're found guilty. But if you're a menace to society and you can't be trusted and you act out in this way to attempt to assassinate the former first family led by Barack Obama, you're going to sit in federal detention center until it's time for your case to be tried because you can't be trusted and you're a public menace. And that's the tale of Taylor Taranto. That's where we are with him. The man who said, "Come and get me," on social media, who when they didn't come and get him over several months, the last 9, 10, 11 months, he started posting increasingly more erratic social media postings on things like Truth Social. And asking Merrick Garland, let's get this on. You know, he's also, no surprise, he's also a participant in a cult that believes the federal government is invalid, that the federal government is not authentic, that the Constitution doesn't really exist or apply. You know, he's one of these people who believes that he's some sort of free holder, you know, free person. He's not a citizen of the United States, which he believes was invalidly created. You have to ascribe to these principles in order for the next step, which is you not only participate in Jan 6 and scuffle with police and hang out with Ashley Babbitt on her mission to assassinate elected officials, but you end up in a van live streaming on your social media as you go to elementary schools, right? That soft underbelly of American security and children who are vulnerable, to try to take on Jamie Raskin to get attention for yourself. And when that doesn't work, you use the address given to you by your fearless cult leader, Donald Trump, who doxed the Obama family, and head for that Tony enclave, that Tony neighborhood in DC, protected by the Secret Service, live streaming the whole way that you're going to do harm to the former first family. And now you're going to go to the federal detention center and you're going to sit there until your trial is up. Now, I'm sure Taylor Taranto will get a lawyer. It'll probably be a federal public defender, and they're going to have to deal with him and all of his mania as they try to fashion some sort of defense for him, given all of not only the Jan 6 evidence that's against him, all of the live streaming and social media before, during, and after Jan 6, but now him living in the van menacing elected officials and threatening to assassinate them while he live streamed it and put things on social media and gave interviews. How fast do you think it's going to be for a jury or a judge to convict Taylor Taranto? Not as fast as this hot take, but it's going to be pretty darn close. I mean, you know, it's taking juries just short amount of hours to convict Jan 6 defendants. Taylor Taranto, who's a menace to the public, who's one of the most dangerous I've ever talked about on a hot take like this one on the Midas Touch Network. And I'm going to follow all the proceedings, whatever the lawyer files, what the judge ultimately decides about whether he's going to stay in the federal detention center pending his trial. I'll do it here on hot takes just like this one, only on the Midas Touch Network. We pull them all together and curate a long format podcast of these stories, also on the Midas Touch Network, called Legal AF. I do it on Wednesdays and Saturdays with Karen Friedman-Ignifilo, Ben Meiselas. And if you like this kind of information coming to you and this kind of hot take, direct, to the point, not blowing smoke or sunshine, you can follow me on all things social media at MS Popak. You can follow me and watch our podcast called Legal AF. You can give me a thumbs up here and open a dialogue with me in the chat. And that's how this mission works, this journey works, only on the Midas Touch Network. I'm Michael Popak, Legal AF reporting. Hey, Midas Mighty. Look.
That's Jordy. I love Jordy. Okay, so the next one that I want to, because I save these videos, right? Because I'll forget about them, and since I need to get some watch time hours, this will help me get some of those. If you will chime in and you're interested, and I know most people are not, but I was very much interested in this. I will not. Here we go. Oops.
Talking a lot here on the Midas Touch Network how Special Counsel Jack Smith is increasingly focused on his criminal investigation relating to Donald Trump's election interference, on Donald Trump's fake electoral scheme conspiracy whereby MAGA Republicans who were loyal to Donald Trump agreed to fraudulently affix their signatures to fraudulent electoral certificates claiming Donald Trump won in states where President Biden won, and submitting those fake electoral certificates to then Vice President Mike Pence to be counted on January 6th, as all of the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives and the Senate objected to the electoral count, and the plan was then Vice President Pence was going to say, I have 2 electoral certificates, one from the actual Secretary of State saying Biden won, and I have this other one that I just received and it says Trump won. I don't know what to do. Using the powers vested in me, I'm going to just say Trump won. That was their plan. It was patently illegal. Everybody was telling former Vice President Pence, then Vice President Pence, it was illegal. So Pence ultimately didn't go along with it. I don't think he should get applauded that much for following the very basics of what the law is, but the whole plan was he was supposed to violate his duties and count the fake electoral certificates. Well, there is a great report out by Talking Points Memo by a writer by the name of Josh Kovensky. And I always love when I get to share great writers and I get to share some great journalism. And so this article is called New Unearthed Emails Show Trump Attorneys Coordinated Fake Electors. 2 Nevada electors who reportedly received immunity for testimony in Jack Smith's investigation. It goes in and shows some of these emails that I had never seen before that I absolutely want to share with you. And so you'll recall, though, from our reporting, I think it was about 3 weeks ago. Actually, it was the very same day as Donald Trump's arraignment. So it was actually June 13th of 2023. As Trump's arraignment was taking place in the Southern District of Florida, you remember our report, in Washington, D.C., in the grand jury there, you had Jim DeGraffenreid and someone by the name of Michael McDonald, both top-level GOP operatives in the state of Nevada, and they were testifying before the grand jury. we've talked about Special Counsel Jack Smith's the way he's gone about very aggressively bringing these witnesses in, not allowing them to get any extensions, first requiring them to invoke their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, and then giving them a limited immunity deal requiring that they testify, or else they would be held in contempt, and then they could be actually sentenced to prison. So then they would have to testify about their experiences. So these two individuals, DeGraff and Reed and McDonald, were fake electors in the state of Nevada, and they were effectuating the Trump fake elector plan. And if you want to think about the Trump fake elector plan, it had a number of architects, but I think probably it's 2 or 3 chief architects. You had John Eastman, who's currently in proceedings in California to have his bar license revoked, and someone who I believe to be a target of Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal investigation, as well as Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's criminal investigation, right? You have Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani has lost his legal license. His legal license has been suspended in multiple states where he used to be able to practice. We reported how Giuliani is now cooperating with Special Counsel Jack Smith, entered into a proffer agreement and engaged in a voluntary interview with Special Counsel Jack Smith. That was reported last week. And there's this other name, though, we don't really talk about a lot, but someone who was also I believe, a target of Special Counsel Jack Smith and Fulton County District Attorney, a lawyer by the name of Kenneth Chesebro. And you probably have heard that name, especially if you've been following the Midas Touch Network and you are in the weeds of the January 6th committee's deliberations and report, because at the end of their 845-page report, they make certain criminal referrals of lawyers, and Ken Chesebro, in addition to Eastman and Giuliani and Jeff Clark, is one of the individuals who the January 6th committee refers to the Department of Justice to be criminally prosecuted. And so in this great talking points memorandum article, written by this, as I told you, great journalist Josh Kovensky, they unearthed some emails of Chesebro. So let me pull up some of these emails, and this is Chesebro sending emails to fake electors in Nevada, basically telling them what the plan is. Just look how incriminating these emails are. Let me pull this one up. This is from Friday, December 11th, 2020, and this is sent from Kenneth Chesebro to the fake electors. Thanks for passing this along. No, the COA need not be attached to the electoral votes. The purpose of having the electoral votes sent into Congress is to provide the opportunity to debate the election irregularities in Congress and to keep alive the possibility that the votes could be flipped to Trump and Biden. In that connection, can you tell me whether all court responding to this? Thanks again. So that's one email from Kenneth Chesebro. Let me show you this other email from Kenneth Chesebro to McDonald and DeGraff and Reed.
Because COMEX don't take the weekend.
Okay, well, just to let the thing go around, I want to keep this video up. I am trying to catch up with Watch Time Out, sure. Thank all of you for coming in. Please hit the like button. You know, if you come here and you hear, and I will continue. This is my routine. This is Cup of Joe Papa. I am cooking with JW, and this is what I do my mornings with the Cup of Joe.
Justin Clark and Nick Traynor asked me to reach out to you and other Nevada electors to run point on the plan to have all Trump-Pence electors in all 6 contested states meet and transmit their votes to Congress on Monday, December 14th. I'm one of the lawyers handling the state court litigation in Wisconsin, the first state which made definitive plans to have our electors vote on Monday. Confidentially, so you can understand how we're messaging it, below is a draft press release by our lead lawyer in Wisconsin, which would be released only after we file papers in the Wisconsin Supreme Court following an expected loss in the lower court, which we expect to do Saturday. I'd appreciate if you or someone else on your team could get in touch with me as soon as possible. I have 2 memos explaining the rationale for the electors voting on Monday, though you may already have those, and I am preparing drafts of the documents that the electors in Nevada could sign to affect their votes in case having drafts in hand would be of help. Call or write, night or day. Call or write anytime, night or day. Sincerely, Kenneth Chesbro. And so there you see how this was being messaged. And what they were trying to do is basically say, well, we were just permitting the members of Congress to have a debate. But see, here's the thing. By December 14th, Donald Trump had lost dozens and dozens and dozens of litigation. There was absolutely no shot. There was no debate. They were using this, we were just trying to facilitate a robust debate about who won based on all of the purported electoral fraud that was taking place, knowing that there was no electoral fraud, knowing what they were saying is complete BS, knowing that they were submitting phony and false declarations about electoral fraud where they were saying they were dead people voting and undocumented workers who were voting and lots of people who were voting who shouldn't be voting and harvesting, illegal harvest, all those things weren't happening. They knew all of that was false. So you have internally the Trump administration and the campaign at that time knowing that they're lying and they're messaging this fake electoral scheme. Now, the defense that's cited by this article for these fake electors, because they're going to throw all these Trump people under the bus. They're saying these guys were innocent people just doing what folks they trusted had asked them to do. One of the people familiar told TPM that senior Trump campaign officials in the state understood that Donald Trump had lost Nevada. They knew they couldn't win Nevada, but they were telling them to engage in that conduct. So what do we always say that MAGA stands for here? Make attorneys get attorneys. And let me just show you this, though. Ken Chesbro. I had to look this up because I had to say, Ken Chesbro's background. Like, how did someone like this get involved in it? This blew me away, although it shouldn't, because there's so many people who have sacrificed their reputations and their dignity and all credibility for Donald Trump. It's wild. Look at Ken Chesbro. This is his LinkedIn. It's on right now. You go Ken Chesbro. He describes himself as an appellate attorney. Went to Northwestern undergrad, then Harvard Law School. Graduated Harvard Law in '86. He was a summer associate at Sidley Austin, one of the top law firms in the country. Then a summer associate at Cravath, Swain and Moore, like the top firm in New York. Then was a law clerk for a U.S. District Court judge. Then worked as a deputy special counsel in the Office of Independent Counsel for Iran-Contra from 1993, and then was an appellate attorney. So you have someone with a significant legal background who just disgraces the profession, who knew what he was doing was absolutely wrong, but used that power to try to overthrow and destroy our democracy. And look, there's the Giulianis, there's the Eastmans, there's the Sidney Powells, there's the Mike Flynns, there's all the people in that, the Jeff Clarks that we talk about. But this Ken Chesbro fella isn't getting enough attention, and I am glad that TPM is talking about it. The Talking Points memo is talking about it. Give him a follow. Give Josh Kovensky a follow for breaking the story as well. And TPM does some really good reporting. They've got a TPM Journalism Fund, independent journalists over there. It's always very important for me to give shout-outs to some of the people who break these stories and who surface these emails so that I can then share them with you. So great work over there at TPM. I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers.
Yes, so Oh, we're gonna go here. We're gonna go here first, yo. I'm up here like almost about an hour. This is Cup of Joe Pop Up, you all. It's Cooking with JW. And this is, I'm sharing what I do to keep up with the headlines and keep up what those fools are doing in Congress. And I would like to share them with you. I'm sharing them now. I know not too many people are really even interested, but I feel like you need to know what they're fucking doing, what kind of laws are being passed, and how it actually, the laws that they pass, how it impacts us, people on the ground that's trying to live a decent life, and how all this shit with this fucking troubled minded fucking orange bitch, how he controls, even though he is not even fucking president anymore. But these sycophants, this cultish fucking behavior. And I want to share with you all so that you could tell your friends, tell your family, you know, I mean, because I know some conservative people. I myself am independent. I like to have a choice to choose. I use my own brain and do research on people that's running for offices and things like that. But it is so, it's just so crazy to me how people in general, they're disdain, I don't even know, I really don't have the words, but like we are in 2023. And if you are a prejudiced person, go to a fucking island and take your fucking prejudiced people with you, because this world is gonna constantly change. This country is gonna constantly change, and there's gonna be black and brown and transgenders and all that. I was thinking about something. Right? And so there are a group of people in the Bible, sodomites. And I was wondering, and I have not researched it yet, but I said that I would. Who are these people that they call sodomites? Because if they are the same people that these evangelicals and all these different people are against, because sodomites is that a derivative from sodomy, or you know what I'm saying? So were the sodomites all gay people? I gotta get to the Bible and read up on that. And I want you all, if y'all know who they are, put it, man, give it to me. Let me know. And I'm gonna still do the research on it. But I'm like, and then I know that these people, from the beginning of time, the same people that are here today, the same strangers. Why the fuck do these fucking dirty Republicans act like this some shit that just existed, or this some shit that come out of the woodwork? Really, you fucking dirty fucks. And they're just getting worse. They are not governing. They are not doing shit for us or their constituents. I mean, like, I seriously am so grateful that my fucking family migrated to Illinois, because we got a great governor. Pritzker is not falling for none of that bullshit, and he is actually governing, passing laws to help Illinois. You got that stupid ass Ron DeSanctimonious, as Donald Trump calls him, and he is, I mean, the migrants are fleeing. They're gone. Like the shit. See, what we fail to realize is that this is a democracy, right? There are rules and regulations and things like that. And these people that do the rules and shit. We actually vote them in. Our vote matters. The matters vote. So, you know what? Do your fucking research. Do your fucking research, you know? So that we can have reasonable minded people in fucking office. And not these weirdo fucking freaks and creeps and these prejudices want to take us back hundreds and hundreds of years just so they can ingratiate themselves. It is fucking unbelievable. That's my family, yo. I love my family. So, we're gonna go here. This bitch, I don't like her. I mean, like, Candace Owens. Okay. Okay, this is the damage report. They're reporting on Candace Owens, some other dumb shit she did. You know, she caters to the people that pay her. And whatever ridiculousness comes out of her mouth, it is for whoever pays her to be ridiculous and to be black hating and everything. Look at this bitch skin color. She's a fucking idiot, of course. I just, people like this, I just don't know. I mean, like, she may have some points about, yeah, the black man is gone and da-da-da-da. But that shit is old, bitch. Come up with some new shit. Smarty pants, whore. I fucking can't stand her because of what she stands for. And not because, yes, this is a black woman. I mean, we all should be able to have our opinions. But she doubles down, triples down, and fucking nonsense. Let's look at this whore.
And when you consider surrogacy, especially surrogacy for the sake of surrogacy, there is something demonic about it, right? When you are demonic, not because you can't have a child, right? Even worse, right? Khloe Kardashian is able to have a child. She has a daughter, True, who she grew inside of her own body. And simply because she wanted for her daughter, True, to have a 100% biological sibling, but she was not willing to have sex with this serial cheater, Tristan Thompson. That's what happened. She didn't want to have sex with him again to produce a second child. She decided to borrow and purchase some other woman's body. How are we allowing this to take place? How are people comfortable?
First of all, bitch, who the fuck do you think you are? What do you mean? How are we allowing this? Whatever a motherfucker want to do with their body or not with their body, and they can purchase somebody else's body who is willing to fucking do what they ask them to do, how's that your fucking business, bitch? Won't you have a couple goddamn kids, whore? Kardashians, they got beautiful bodies. They probably bought most of the fucking ass and tits or whatever. That is not your business, bitch. None of your fucking business. Who the fuck do these fucking people think they are? What the fuck you gonna tell me what the fuck I can do with my life? If I don't want kids and I don't want my body to be all out of shape, oh, I gotta ask fucking dumbass Candace Owens, is it okay if I do that? Bitch, take your stupid shit someplace else.
And there was something
dumb
deeply
bitch.
demonic about surrogacy.
So she belongs in the garbage for multiple different
course
reasons.
she does.
First of all, taking everything that you either have a problem with or pretend for the purpose of your show to have a problem with and saying, I'm against it because it's demonic is utterly pathetic. It is so pathetic that it represents that you don't think that you can convince people that not only that surrogacy is wrong, and you're not really describing it, again, you're just calling it demonic, but that how are we allowing it? She's saying, without saying, the government should be blocking this from happening. And she's not alone in that. The Republicans are going to be coming for IVF, they're going to be coming for surrogacy, they're coming for a lot of this stuff, because they got what they wanted with Roe v. Wade, but that's not enough. They don't want people to realize the horrid economic situation they're in, and so their attention is always going to be laser focused on other people's genitals and what they do with it and what they should be doing with it and how they do it. And so for all of that, talk about what's going on in the country. You weirdo. You deeply weird weirdo. Why is this the thing that you're focusing on your show? What the Kardashians do in terms of their surrogates. It's consensual. It's not like they randomly knocked up the other person and then yanked their baby out the next day.
Right.
It's a financial situation that was set up. You might think it's weird. That's a you problem.
And my take on this is that I do not believe that Andrew Tate is a rapist. I don't. I think that that is what people like to accuse men of when they're trying to take them down, right?
Yes, it is what people like to accuse men of when they are trying to take them down or when they've raped them. Those are generally the two big reasons that you would declare that someone is a rapist. And look, I don't know if Andrew Tate did the things that he and his associates are alleged to have done. That's what a legal process is for. But since I know exactly as much about this as Candace Owens does, I've read the same news accounts that she has. It is odd that she would come to this conclusion considering everything he has so very repeatedly and passionately said about this topic. Again, we weren't there. We don't know what was done. But if I did want you to give me the benefit of the doubt when it comes to claims of sexual assault, I probably wouldn't spend years talking about how rape is awesome and women need to be dominated and I love to beat women and those sorts of things. Now, she's familiar with all of that and has still come to the conclusion that she should defend him. My guess is that it's less to do with the actual content of the accusations and more to do with what she believes to be her position in the right wing and what she, as a woman in the right wing, needs to say in regards to right-wing men. That's just my guess. We're going to give her a little bit more time to make the case, and then we'll jump into a discussion.
What Andrew Tate is not hiding exactly who Andrew Tate is, and always has been, and clearly he communicated exactly what it was and whatever it was that he does in Romania to my assistant, giving her the option. Maybe she wants to join. For all I know, maybe in Romania, which may be perhaps the reason he moved to Romania, whatever he was doing, being a modern Hugh Hefner.
Bitch, he moved to Romania so he could get away with doing these fucking things that he's doing. It is fucking, I mean, I don't know why your dumbass cannot see what is going on with this fucking idiot. I knew nothing about Andrew Tate or Kevin Samuels. I just look at these men as something's very much wrong with them. That some women that wrong them would turn them against women, or just fucking narcissists. You know, they have this thing where they need to be a dominant black man. I don't know. Maybe they have small dicks. I don't know. But the thing of it is just wrong. And then they're teaching these brothers. So you got these other motherfuckers trying to emulate these motherfuckers. I mean, like, that shit's not cool. So you don't get women like that. So you have to forcefully take these women. And you talk all this good shit to them. See, I know men like that. They talk all this, they flirt and make you feel good, and then they bring you somewhere. Oh, they're gonna shower some money on you, then they get you somewhere and treat you like a fucking slave or a dog. That shit happens. And for this stupid, ugly bitch to be sitting up there like, man, I just don't know. She's off her fucking rocks. She always been like that though. But I'm glad she's moved on to something different with the smarty pants. Oh, she's such a genius. And you know, yeah, bitch, come up with something new. And so this is what the new shit is now.
It's legal. I'm taking a guess here. I don't know. But if you're a guy and you hold citizenship in America or in the United Kingdom and you decide to uproot to Romania, it's got to be because you can do a little more dodgy stuff in Romania. It's the Eastern Quarter. This is how things work.
Right, whore.
Romania is like Ukraine. It's an incredibly corrupt country. The governments are entirely corrupt.
Bitch,
now,
you corrupt.
the risk that you run is that what you are doing in Ukraine might be legal if your goal is to be a Hugh Hefner. And I think that what he did. I believe that Andrew Tate was always upfront with all of these women in the same way that when you go to work for the Playboy Mansion, they're pretty upfront with the fact that you're going to be walking around in a bikini wearing bunny ears when Hugh Hefner was alive. I believe he always communicated that, and he was always upfront, right? But when you decide to do that in Romania, the risk that you run, then it's Romania.
Okay, so it's important that you know that Candace Owens' read of what happened under Hugh Hefner is as fact-free and inherently flawed as her read of what Andrew Tate was up to. But we'll get to the facts on that. But AB, what do you think about what she said?
I think that Candace Owens spins in more circles than Britney Spears on Instagram. Because everything you just said just went into a viral circle. Like, the reality is that he can be upfront about being misogynistic and being an aggressor and honestly being a rapist, right? But if women don't consent to the behavior, then that is still rape. That is still a crime at the end of the day. In addition to that, she didn't really help his case much. You are saying that, yes, he told us that this is the type of person he is. When someone tells you who they are, you should probably believe them. And then if you have to leave one country to go and commit your crimes in another country because you think you'll be better off there, that's even worse. So at the end of the day, she didn't really help the argument. She just wanted something to say so that her base didn't feel like, you know, she was ignoring the issue. So they had a puppet to throw out and seem like there was a diverse view on this. And there's no diverse view. Leave people alone. If we don't consent, if a person doesn't consent to the sexual activity, then you are violating them. And that is a crime in whatever country you're in.
Yes.
This is your summer to smile.
So did that fucking idiot bitch. This is why I did not like her. Like, she makes no fucking sense. Okay, so let's go here. Let's see, where are we going? That's more political, but yeah, this is what I do, y'all. And I think I'm over
Question
my
here
hour.
from Patrick the Butcher,
This
who
is a
says,
good
when
guy
is this
too.
country going to wake up to the toxic effect that the Dominionist right has had on the Republican Party? All this culture war BS comes directly from pulpits in the so-called Bible Belt. If they're going to make political speeches from the altar, then they need to be taxed into non-existence. Where the expletive deleted is the IRS. Wonderful question there, and of course, it's something that we have actually talked about here on Ring of Fire, for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been one of the biggest issues that we have talked about here on Ring of Fire. In fact,
churches.
Mike Papantonio has done so much on it. He was actually featured in the Academy Award nominated documentary Jesus Camp. If you haven't seen that, by the way, brilliant film. I think at one point you can actually see my hand in it. But no, it heavily features, obviously, Mike Papantonio and his role in the early days of Ring of Fire. It's wonderful. Please check it out if you can. Jesus Camp is the name of it. But no, seriously, you're right. And Frank Schaeffer, the author, who, by the way, we have interviewed many times on Ring of Fire as well. You can find his videos on our YouTube channel. He basically has laid this out, and he's been sounding those alarm bells for many years now. You know, Frank Schaeffer's father essentially helped create the religious right. Him and another man whose name escapes me at the moment, I apologize. But they did this. They put this out there. They said, hey, listen, how can we grow the church? How can we use the church to our political advantage? Abortion. And of course, since then, it has bloomed well beyond just abortion. Okay? You know, we've got the transgender issues, the bathrooms, the sports. Oh God, we got to keep the transgender people out of those places. And now it's gone even further. We can't even allow them to transition. Our kids are being indoctrinated. The culture wars have expanded beyond the wildest dreams of the founders of the religious right. And of course, one of the reasons is they kind of had to. I mean, when the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, which is something the religious right's been hammering on for 40 years, suddenly they're like, oh crap, what do we do? And they just immediately moved on to the next, horrible, scary thing that's corrupting your children. And that is, of course, according to them, the issue of transgender people. You're also right, I will add, about the IRS. We have preachers that are 100% pushing politics from the pulpit. And there's a very I don't want to say, obvious, but kind of reason why the federal government doesn't go after these institutions. And the reason is because the second you send a federal agent into a church, the Republicans are going to use that to win every election in the next cycle. The second you send an IRS agent to do an audit of a church, it's over. They will weaponize that against us. Even though it needs to happen, it should happen. But I do think Democrats realize, look, we know these horrible things are happening. We know what they're doing. We know it's a violation. We know it's illegal. But if we go after them, even if we can prove it, even if we can show how these people are violating their tax-exempt status, the right wing is going to have a field day with it. They're going to capture the messaging. We're going to look like we're attacking religion. So that's why nothing happens. It sucks to say that, but I promise you, that is why nothing is happening on that issue. Out of fear, not because these churches are doing everything right.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and, well, here comes the awkward part at the end of the video.
Thank you all for coming through. That is the end of my Cup of Joe pop-up. And I hope that you what I share with you all gives you a little bit more info on, shit that's happening. And I hope that you will take these things and apply it to your life. I mean, because I am a researcher. I like truth. I want to know what's really happening, even if I don't like it, But that gives you an opportunity to do something about it. And that is what we have. That is ours. And that is to vote. And when you vote, you express your opinions through that vote. You express your discernment through that vote. You express the life that you want to live through your vote. So let's get registered, because this is gonna be a terrible one this time, y'all. And these freaks and these creeps, especially the House, and those fucking weirdo fucking QAnon conspiracy theorist motherfuckers that they want to tear down democracy. They want to take away from your vote. They want to take your vote away. They want to tell you who the fuck, who not the fuck. They want to tell you who you should be and who you should not be. They want to tell you, do you hear this crazy bitch? They want to tell you, if you can't have a baby, then so be it. They want to tell you, if you're 10 years old, bitch, you just got to have that baby whether you was raped or not. They want to have absolute power over us. This is not back there in slavery days. And ain't nobody going back there. So we need to use our vote and get these lunatics out of office, because actually they're not doing a goddamn thing for you. They're trying to scare you to death. They're trying to take away your rights. Women, oh my God. So I share these videos to keep you informed of what these idiots are doing. And you can rest assured this is proper and it is truth, because I do the research myself. What I show you is what's real. And thank you all for coming in. Give me a like and watch these videos as we go forward. Thank you. Smooches. I love you guys.